Hey everyone, it's your Tuesday with DNB Academy, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to create a liquid funk bass line with the Drum and Bass Academy sample packs. So without further ado, let's get into the program. Alright, so before we get started, let's go ahead and listen to the idea. Alright, so let's start with the drum kit. Okay, so before we get into it, all the samples that you're going to be hearing in this project are part of Matt Zoe's sample pack for DNB Academy. So if you're interested in checking that out and using these samples in your own project, go on over to our website at dnbacademy.net and feel free to check those out. So let's get into the snare layers. So for the main snare, I got 3 layers, and this is going to be just like the body layer with some reverb, kind of simulating an acoustic environment. This is going to be the clap layer, just bringing that, snappy high end. And third layer is just some white noise. And on the bus, I have some EQ, just applying some gain on that resonant peak there. Put some transient shaper on it, put some wave shaper on it. That's kind of taken away from the sound. And then I got the glue compressor, adding some gain. Makeup gain set to 3.65 dB with the soft clipping turned on. And then I have an EQ8 right after that and a V clip at the end of the chain. And let's go on to the kick now. The kick just has a wave shaper and a filter just rolling off that high end. And the kick is also part of a drum loop from the pack. And the kick is also part of a drum loop from the pack. So let's move on to the hi-hats now. So for the hi-hats, I have them all sidechained to my kick and my snare. And I described some loops that I liked. And I've combined certain hi-hat sounds and percussions to create some call and response inside of the drum loop itself. Then with the rides, I pan them to the right, pan some other elements to the left. But for this track, I have it so that every time the kick comes in, it ducks in volume. So is being sidechained by that kick. And that's giving it that groove and that movement. EQ afterwards to make sure that it has no low end. And then I just have some FX sweeps. So on the main drum kit bus, I don't have anything. It's just the processing that I've showed in the individual tracks. And that would be it for our drum kit. The next group that we're going to be looking at is the FX bus for drums. This is like the kick rolls and the drum fills. So just the same kick, duplicated and with some filters being automated on top. This is the movement that's going on with that automation right here. Starts high and goes low and then it goes back up again. And then I got the standard filter just opening up as it nears the drop. And then I also have a small segment of a drum fill here. And then I make it so that, I just make it so that it comes in differently the second time. So let's move on to the basses. And for the basses, I have a one-shot bass, also from the pack. This is bass number 1, but I've described a certain segment that I liked from the small one-shot or bass loop, and I've just duplicated it. And played around with that. Got EQ there, just removing that low end. And let's move on to the main bass. So for the main bass, I have 3 layers. One is the high end. The next one is the mid layer. And the sub layer. So it's in MIDI, but this is actually a bass loop from the sample pack. And all I've done is loop it at a certain place where it kind of worked to be able to loop this seamlessly. So played around with the crossfade here in the loop start and end. And I've turned on the sustain loop here within the sustain mode. And I've just played around with this bracket. I kept it at a speed that I liked it, and then I post-process it afterwards. So this is like the main sub-layer of that, and it's just got an auto filter, some EQ weight, kind of like exaggerating those overtones that I want, and I put an auto filter just to remove that high end and make this my sub-layer. After the filter, I have some erosion just to add some white noise on top, and then I'm clipping the signal with the V-clip. So the mid layer is the exact same bass. I've just duplicated it and post-processed it differently. So as you can see, I still have the sampler here being looped within itself, and the only thing that changes is that I have a gain at around 9 dB, and I have the thermal set to the rise and shine setting, and then I have an auto filter that is being automated, and it closes at the end of those 8 bars. So after the filter, I have another EQ, same as the original bass, and after that EQ, I have a bandpass filter that starts at 552 hertz and it ends at 2.76 kilohertz. So it's just gradually opening up and sweeping through those frequencies. And while it's sweeping through those frequencies, I've added some more distortion on top. So I'm using the heavy drum compression on the Infiltrator VST to achieve that grittiness. And after the Infiltrator, I'm just clipping the signal. So after that mid layer, I've just duplicated once more. I thought that we still need some higher layer on there. So I went ahead and just duplicated it. Exact same settings up until the bandpass, and the only difference is that I'm using the notch juggle setting inside of Infiltrator. So this kind of has like a envelope follower with the filter. So it's just kind of creating a bit of gritty harmonics that I wanted to include in the bass. And I've grouped the mid and high layers together, and I'm post-processing them this way. So I have the EQ here just rolling off some low and high frequencies, erosion to add some solid white noise, chorus to make it a bit stereo, and the duck that is doing the sidechain every time the snare comes in. I then have the mid layer and the sub layer grouped into another bus, and this is the low end bus, and on this one I have the filter, which is modulating the bass on the second drop. Some texture that is adding some white noise. And the V-clip that is clipping the signal. So the filter is modulating the bass as a whole, so the amplitude of the whole bass bus is being affected, and it's giving it this shape that I'm setting here with the filter LFO to make it sort of plucky. And then at the end of the bar, I just have it opening up. The filter is doing all the magic here. Just kind of wanted to give a bit of a dance floor vibe with this and use the same harmonics from the main bass to create, a variation. So I then later have it open up gradually, and then I just turn the filter off. Yeah, pretty cool trick. I love using the filter to kind of mold things into what I imagine them sounding like in my head. So afterwards, with the low end bus kind of sorted and the one shot as well, I went ahead and grouped that again, and I felt that I needed some more mid-range content. So I created an audio effect rack, and I just have the clean signal here with an EQ sort of highlighting and boosting this area here where I thought that it was lacking. And then I have a saturator with 4 dB of gain, and we'll move on to the chorus chain now. And for this one, I'm using the Tal chorus, and I have the saturator after the chorus set at 5.71 dB with the utility at a width of 149% and just an EQ rolling off that low end. Then I have a noise layer, which is using the vocoder. So the vocoder set to around 63.5 with the release at 425 milliseconds and the depth at 106%. So the vocoder is only affecting these frequency bands here in the high end, and afterwards I put some erosion with the amount set to 126, the width at 250, and the frequency at 11K. After that erosion, I have it just rolling off that low end again, and a saturator at the end with the soft clipping turned on. So apart from that EQ split and parallel processing, I have the duck just for the main kick and the snare bus, and a V-clip at the end. So that would be it for this video. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something for your own project so that you can apply in your own tracks. Again, my name is Yatuza with DNB Academy, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.